Hi, I'm Ashley Adamson, and welcome to another episode. Today's episode is going to be a little bit more explorative. I don't have a fully formulated way of explaining this and what I want to share, and we're also exploring this topic a little bit. If you're looking for a bit of a dopamine, fast-paced hit, that's not this kind of a video, but do me a favor and like it and save it for later for when you want to be thinking and reflecting. I'm going to share a little bit about my own experience recently with working through my own experience of myself, and it touches on trans topics as well as self-confidence and allowing who you are to come through. So if that's something that you're interested on enabling within yourself and continuing to reflect on, this is the kind of video for you. So where do I start? I'm in Paris right now. The background has changed. And I think that this trip has started to get me unstuck in some ways that I didn't even realize I had been stuck in. Where are you in your progression of your transition? Or where do you think you are? Because who knows how long a transition really is. But this feeling of evolution of the self is what I want to call it. This idea that you change and you grow, especially in a transition where you start to rediscover who you are and all of those little parts that you've been ignoring, right? What are those parts for you that have recently emerged that you said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I've been ignoring this, or that this little voice inside me has not been heard, and I need to give it a listen. I need to give it an embrace and to allow it to speak. Because if you are trans and you're going through this process of realizing and understanding yourself, or even if you've completed your journey, there's this part that I believe you begin to acknowledge and see, which is that little part within you that wants to speak and hasn't had that opportunity to speak. Do you know who I'm talking about? Can you find that place within you right now of that thing that wants to speak and hasn't been given a voice yet? I think we all have these parts of ourselves, and depending on where you are in your transition and your change, it can manifest and create itself in different ways. Sometimes this can be anxiety. Sometimes this can be a positive feeling like happiness because it gets to express. And sometimes it can be really, really suppressed and manifest in a different form, such as like anger, because it's not getting heard. And the only way that it can be heard is through through a medium through which you engage in, where you can acknowledge it. It's kind of funny, the self, right? Like the self that most people believe they are is often a lot simpler and more rudimentary in how they think it is. Before you realize that you were trans, or before, like if you're just a cis person, do you ever question who yourself is? Or do you just kind of go, yeah, I know myself, this is myself, right? And I know myself, so I don't need to look at it. And the thing for me was pre-transition, I didn't feel like I needed to look at myself anymore. What big deal is there about the self? I get it. I'm a person and I need to go do things. I need to operate within this world. It was not until I acknowledged that I was trans where I said to myself, oh my God, there's this huge area within me that can have its own sense of who it is, and I have no idea who that is. Have you had that experience? What was that like? And what did you do to respond to that? And what can you do to continue to respond to that? So I'm like more than 3 years into my transition now. I'm not sure, like 3.5. And this past week, I've been tested in ways where I feel like my sense of self has been stuck. Stuck isn't the right word, but kind of like unable to grow or evolve. It felt like it was in a friction point of high stress. I was working a lot. I was pushing a lot of different projects along. And that that amount of stress built up in a way where I didn't feel like I had any capacity to take care of myself and to while I was just being myself, I was not happy as just being myself. So I don't know what you would do in that situation, but I took a step back and looked at how I could refresh my perspective on who I am. It was not till I was on this flight to Paris that I realized I had gotten in a place where I could not see anything from another view of the world that I was seeing, and it felt like it was more constricted and more regimented and more trying to be disciplined, and also like almost cynical. Like it didn't want to embrace the experience or the journey. It didn't want to just experience joy for joy because I had so many other things to do. So this is the point that I want to kind of get at you in this very more nuanced thing, is there is a part of you, and you have to find this, you have to look. There is a part of you that continues the day-to-day operations. That is this day-to-day self. And it holds on to you really tightly, and it's part of the reptilian brain, but it's also part of your subconscious behaviors. It's the part that requires the least amount of energy to keep existing and to keep operating. And this is how you operate on a day-to-day basis. This is what you do. But there is another part of your brain, and I feel it actually in the frontal cortex area, and the frontal cortex area is like the less, the prefrontal cortex is the more conscious area, and the back part is the more subconscious area. And this is I'm not a neuroscientist. I talk to my sister about this kind of stuff, but I can actually feel it. When I engage the front part of my brain, I become more relaxed. I become more at ease, and I allow more space for a sense of joy to occur and a less sense of trying to rigorously control things. And I think that's, for me, in my personal world, that's a huge change, because I engage with the world completely differently. Instead of feeling reactive, and I think that's more of a subconscious thing, is you react to your environment, I feel more actively engaged with things. So I want to offer this point of my own experience to give you a point of reflection on where you kind of stuck in the way that you do things, and where is something within you that you can feel like can release you and give you space to grow and expand and feel a sense of joy, a refreshed sense of joy in your experience. Going through one of these transitions is one of the most amazing and exciting experiences, because you get to see life new again. But at some point, you need to put things aside because maybe life is too stressful, or there's things you need to do, and you get into the routine of just doing. And this just doing part sometimes needs to take a step back. For me, I'm on vacation, and so this is my opportunity, but we don't always need vacation to give us the opportunity to take a step back. See where there is a little place in your life that you can find the gems of joy and happiness that give you space from your day-to-day self of how you do things. So I hope that's helpful for you. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, I have a Patreon page. Also, you can download my book. And thanks to all my patrons for supporting me today. I'll see you in another episode. Let's close this up with a little bit more healing and energy and love. Sending you a lot of healing energy, supportive love in your transition, wherever you are. And may the seeds be sown to allow you to bloom and blossom. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. This is the first time that I've done this at the end, but I think I'm going to be doing this more often. So yeah, I'll see you in the end of the next video. Bye.